The world has become still beneath me. So now there is a pool of lava inside of my third eye. And what many of you, if not most of you, struggle to deal with on a daily basis is just now Zen to me. If you look at the way my brain is running, that is what this is to teach you to do, train you. After about 40, 50,000 hours of training, you may get there. I don't even have to close my eyes to meditate. I think that's the first preface of this. What most of you have to do to even get into the zone is now on autopilot for me. This is the dragon egg meditation. If you would like to download this off of YouTube and translate it into an audio file, I highly recommend it. This will be the basic dragon egg. The dragon egg for Malkuth. We will only be doing 5 strands. Perhaps I may make a page on my website saying audio files under resources tab. And there you can download selected audio. So you don't have to look at my creepy face while trying to do a meditation, that you should actually be closing your eyes while doing it. Only till you can not close your eyes while doing it. The first person to start training my brain this way was Star's Lineage when I was doing divine intervention with Brooke. All I wanted to do was close my eyes as I was emanating healing energy, and they wouldn't let us. And since then, it has been this incessantly, excruciatingly painful process. Kind of like Kill Bill and her breaking through the board with almost no leverage. I do not need to close my eyes to meditate anymore or to go into delta. So let's begin. Eventually, you'll want to be able to do magic without closing your eyes. Draw a box around you, going clockwise. with metal braids. Draw on the floor. Draw on the ceiling. Draw the posts going up. If you have failed to do the layered cake video meditation, you need to learn the material. Put the anchor balls at the ceiling corners, going clockwise or all at once. Put the floor balls in at the corners. This is a ectoplasmic goo. That is a glue. And inside each anchor ball is a fastener for you to plug in the wires. On my website, there is a pearls page. These pearls are both in the layered cake and in the dragon egg, where you can look to see what I am communicating to you, to see what I am now communicating to you. Draw the posts going up. Make sure each metal braid is inside the anchor ball. Digging into the fastener and growing, wrapping around, tightening. I am currently on floor 2. We are going to be doing 5 boxes above earth, surface level, and 4 below. Do another box above and another box below. And we will put in the central column next. Draw on the ceiling with metal braids. Put the anchor balls in place. Draw the posts going up with metal braids and make sure all of them are plugged into the anchor balls and secured into the fastener. You may even see the anchor balls light up and begin to glow when the wires are inside the fastener correctly. Draw in the box below. Anchor balls at the corners. Draw in the wires, the metal braids on the floor, and have the posts going down. And that all of the corners are securely fastened into. are going to make sure that the central column is going through all 3 boxes or cubes. And in that central column, there are 3 DNA strands going up, usually made out of the metal, 3 DNA strands going down. Imagine it's metal vibrating so fast it is now made out of light. Like a light bulb. The metal one is still flexible. And then imagine a central column, central spine inside the center of that column. Again, this looks a little bit like the portal in Korra, but with a spine going up the center. Like a stop sign post. Now, from every corner, from every anchor goober ball, there will be a diagonal of metal braids plugging into the center point of each box. So you have these X's in each box. 3-dimensional. So you can put an anchor ball in the center of the room or in the center of the box and imagine it's going to plug into that one. And the wires are going to grow up into the ceiling and down into the floor, through the spinal column. And just like in our nervous system, they plug in and they go both up and down to create a communication pathway. And breathe. Now, do the 2 remaining boxes above the earth and the 4 below at the same time. This is how you do it. Anchor balls up. Next layer, anchor balls up. And then you take a moment and then you imagine your anchor balls being thrown down 1 layer, another layer thrown down, another layer thrown down, and another. So now you have all of your anchor balls in place. Now, draw your metal braids where all the anchor balls are, going clockwise. And then draw the posts, going up and down, the posts that are on the sides of your temple. You should start to feel the energy around your body begin to solidify. And with your root, you'll begin to feel the cubes or the boxes below. There is a difference between when I see it and when I feel it. And that could be the difference between my third eye mixed with my solar plexus and my sacral chakra mixed with my root. Breathe. Now, if you need to pause this and finish it, do so. Draw a pyramid at the top of your 5-cube tower above Earth, and a pyramid facing downward at your 4-cube tower below the surface. Have an anchor ball at the point of each pyramid. And have the metal braids plugging into the fastener. Now, in each pyramid, there is an almond shape pituitary, and a peanut shaped pineal. I like to think of it as the vagina and the clit. This is inside the pyramid. You have one above and one below. The peanut at the bottom is below the almond. It's the point closest to the tip of the pyramid. The one above, the peanut, is closer to the tip of the pyramid, but it is above. They are reverse of each other. Through the eye of the needle. It's the eye of the needle, and you're going to thread it. So get your wires going all the way up the central column of your full tower in metal, and plug it in to both these eyes of the needle. Some needles have both of these holes in it. And then plug those wires, plug the wires in to the top of the pyramid fastener and the bottom of the pyramid fastener. And then we have these pearls above and pearls below. And we stick it into the pearls above. 3 of them. Each of these pearls represents something. Higher self chakra, divine feminine chakra, and divine masculine chakra. And then you have a great central sun that you need to plug in also. So plug those wires in. To all 4 of them. And the ones below, Earth Star, Earth Star of Earth Star, Earth Star of Earth Star of Earth Star. And then we have the core of the Earth. So plug them in. And make sure that there are 3 DNA strands of light flowing up the central column through all of the boxes. And then make sure in that central column, the spine is going all the way up to the top, just to the pyramid, and all the way to the bottom, just to the pyramid. Just like the human body. We may have wires going up into God, but our spine is in our body. Now, from every corner, every goober ball, you will have a diagonal going into the center of each cube or box. You can again imagine like stepping outside, seeing your 9 boxes, each with a central point, and the wires creating metal braids plugging into that central point. And then those wires grow up the spine and down the spine. You can do all of this. It just takes practice and repetition. And fake it till you make it. It helps when you have looked at the pearls and seen the drawings of everything. Now, if your tower feels good and complete, you then do something new. You take a wire We can do it with our wand, whatever. We take a wire, and from the bottom of our tower, we spiral it through each box going clockwise, like we are a witch stirring in a new spell. And their first strand is earth. And that wire goes through each box, up, 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 through to the top, up to the top, up to the pituitary, through that hole, through the hole of the pineal, and up fastened through the pearl or the anchor ball at the top of the pyramid. And then into the 3 pearls above. And then up, plugged in to the great central sun. Now, there will have been a 5th strand, 5th component of it, and that splinters into 4 and falls down instead. And it creates a tent around your tower. And then you have 4 anchor balls on the outside of your tower. Now it looks like a giant pyramid. This is for Earth. And from below, it plugs into Earth Star and Earth Star of Earth Star and Earth Star of Earth Star and into the core of the Earth. So the 3 pearls and the core. And then a remaining strand splinters and creates a tent that is aligned with your tent above. This creates an asymmetrical octahedron. It is a little narrower on top, a little more robust on the bottom. It's asymmetrical that way, but vertically it is symmetrical. Then, make sure every corner of your tent is plugged into adequately with a metal braid. And you may even want to draw in another metal braid going clockwise. Then, you're going to take a new wire that says Earth, and you spiral it on the outside of your octahedron, going all the way up clockwise. And it plugs in to the anchor ball at the top of the pyramid. So you should now have an exoskeleton, the beginning of one. Now, you are going to draw in a dragon scale to go on to the outside of that exoskeleton wire so we can develop an actual exoskeleton. And on each panel, you're thinking earth, earthbender, earth, earthbender, or both of them, really. And you draw it going clockwise, going up. Some of you may feel like this is way too much for you. Then do it in components. And if you're really good, you'll tough it out. Now, each of those scales, it begins to look like cerebro, kind of. And you should start to feel everything on the panels. Now, from our central DNA strand that is in the middle of the tower, what is going to happen is that it is going to create a fiber that will porcupine or jellyfish outside and inside. To the outside, what happens is from that DNA strand, it pokes into every single scale so that every scale has a needle popping through it with a DNA fiber. Going earthbender. And on the inside, on the other side of that DNA strand, it will plug in to the central spine and grow all the way up and all the way down. Like vines. Now, from the outside of your egg, this is layer 1, from the outside of your egg, it will begin to weave a metal mesh to strengthen and solidify the energy field around you. And what may have felt like too much may now feel like nothing. And you take a deep breath in, because what you did was just create a giant psychic barrier for other people to stop influencing your thoughts. And you imagine, make sure that all of those scales and everything is being reinforced below the surface level of the earth. Then you imagine a black goo of coating going on the outside, filling on all the holes. That the metal wires could not cover up. I like to imagine it being like an egg being dipped into chocolate, but like a tar chocolate. And then you imagine your dragon lighting it up. So now the outside gets caught on fire, but magic dragon fire. And you'll feel the heat coming in. And eventually that tar turns to dragon skin. Get comfy. You've got 4 more to do. That is earth. The next one is water. I am a water bender. You take that metal strand and you spiral it up through each box. Going clockwise. It's easier with a wand, but you don't need to. You don't have to. And then you make sure it goes through the pituitary and into the pineal and into the anchor ball at the top. And into the pearls. And into the great central sun. And then make sure it has that same thing going on below. That it goes through the pituitary below, the almond and the peanut. And into the anchor ball. And into the 3 pearls below. And into the core of the earth. And then create the octahedron tent. pyramid above, a pyramid below, meeting on the surface level of the earth, with anchor balls and metal braids going clockwise. Even the energy around this tent will begin to feel like water. And make sure that the exoskeleton wire spirals clockwise around the outside of the octahedron. Waterbender DNA, waterbender DNA. As it spirals, and it plugs into the top of the egg and is already plugged in at the bottom. And then you make sure that there is a dragon scale. So what I also like to imagine is a little lotus inside my hand. And I throw it to the bottom to like activate the bottom of the egg to begin to build the scales, going clockwise around the exoskeleton. Because the scales also kind of look like lotus petals. And each scale is waterbender DNA, waterbender DNA, waterbender. And I make sure that all the scales are active and built in a solid format. Going up to the top of the egg. And from our central DNA strand, it porcupines out into each scale and threads through each individual scale. And it goes to the other side of the scale, to the outside of the dragon egg, and begins to build the metal mesh around the egg. A weave. And then it also porcupines or jellyfishes into the inside, into the central column, plugs in and vines or grows upward to the top of the egg and downward to the bottom. Now, on the outside of that egg, where it is building the metal mesh, we are going to dip it into the chocolate tar, glue, CMYK black tar. Every time you do this, you should feel another layer of psychic protection happening. Quiet. Like a womb being built. Make sure it's at the bottom of the egg, below the surface level of the earth. Make sure your metal mesh was built correctly at the bottom. And everything was plugged in down there too. And then ask your dragon to light it up. And take a deep breath in and watch it burn and catalyze into dragon skin. Breathe. You have 3 more to do. The next is airbender DNA. Take your metal wire and spiral it up through each box, going clockwise. Plug it into the pineal and into the pituitary. And into the anchor ball at the top of the pyramid. And make sure the same thing is going on below. Plug it into the 3 pearls above and below. Into the core of the earth and into the great central sun. And then take an extra strand and build your octahedron tent. Make sure the anchor balls are fastened at the surface level of the earth, and the metal braids are plugged in to each corner. Make sure you drew the floor in going clockwise. Now around your octahedron tent, draw with a metal wire an exoskeleton, spiraling up from the bottom of the egg to the top. Take your lotus and throw it down to the bottom of the egg so that you can start to build your scales on the outside of that wire. Going clockwise, these are your airbender scales. They may look different than your earthbender or waterbender scales too. They may look the same, and you may just be emanating a different energy into them. Every dragon is unique. Now, your scales are set. Porcupine the central DNA strand out and plug it into every scale. So now they are through every scale. Build your metal weave on the exoskeleton of the egg. And then jellyfish it. Jellyfish that DNA, central spine, or into the central spine. And let those vines or those braids go in and up to the top of the egg and down. Yes, these can act like metal braids also. Make sure the bottom of the egg is adequately plugged into the metal weave. And then pour the black goo on the outside of the metal weave. Make sure it's surrounding everything, filling in all the holes. The black goo. And with your dragon, light it up until it crystallizes into a new skin. You may feel the heat of the fire. We have earth, water, and air properly gridded. Now we need fire. So take your metal strand from the bottom of the egg, firebender DNA strand, and wrap it up the egg, up the tower, through each box, going clockwise. through the pituitary, above and below, through the pineal, above and below, through the anchor ball at the top, the pyramid, above and below, into the 3 pearls below and above, into the great central sun, into the core of the earth. And then create a tent, an octahedron tent surrounding your egg, your triple layer egg, so that we can create a 3rd layer or 4th layer. Make sure the anchor balls to the pyramid are resting on the surface level of the earth. Create metal braids on that floor, going clockwise through each anchor ball. Create the exoskeleton wire, spiraling from the bottom of the egg up to the top and fastening in. And then take your lotus. I like to think of it as my fire lotus. It looks different than the other lotuses. And I take my fire lotus and I drop it down to the bottom. And then I begin to create the scales, going clockwise from the bottom of the egg up. And when those scales are set, going clockwise all the way up to the top, we take our central strand from the inside of the egg and we porcupine it out. And it plugs into each scale and needles through. I like to think of it like an actual needle with thread. And then all of those needles then create a weave on the outside of the egg. If it feels exhausting, keep going. It's a mental workout for a reason. Should make your third eye burn and purify. Make sure the bottom of the egg has the proper metal weave. I like to think of this metal weave as mithril, like the strong but thin weave that Frodo wears that protects him from everything. Make sure it's good at the bottom of the egg. And then dip it in chocolate tar goo. You can put a little vanilla swirl in it if you want. If you want. Mix that vanilla with some purple goo and then light it up. You can put a little of that Peruvian darkness powders, whatever stuff. It's like, what it is it's phthalo blue sparkle dust. And it activates fire energy real quick. Dark phthalo, like indigo phthalo. All of you painters out there understand what that color is. Look at the squeeze tubes of paint, oil paints. Okay, so have the dragon lighted up. Just ask him. And you should feel it calcifying and turning into a dragon skin. Maybe it turns into an indigo dragon skin. All right, you have one more to do. Spirit Bender DNA. I know you're tired. Just do it. It's worth it. It's always worth it. Take the metal strand from the bottom of the egg and spiral it, going clockwise through each box. Sometimes I like to make sure it plugs into a fastener. When I spiral it going upward, kind of like hanging Christmas lights. It somehow feels more anchored that way. This is why I never believe anybody when they say they've never worked hard. Ever. I don't trust those people. I think they know nothing. So make sure that spirit bender strand is all the way up to the top. Plug it into the pituitary above and below. And the pineal above and below. And the ball at the top of the pyramid above. And the ball at that point of the pyramid below. And then plug it into the 3 pearls above, into the great central sun. And the pearls below, and in the core of the earth. And then draw the tent, the octahedron tent, going up and going down. Make sure those anchor balls are on the surface of the planet. Make sure those metal braids are going into the anchor balls on the sides of the pyramids. Got it? And from each anchor ball, draw in the floor of that pyramid with those metal braids. Don't be lazy now. fasten everything into those anchor balls. You're almost there. Now, draw that exoskeleton, spiraling going up. To the top of the egg. Excuse me. I feel like I want to cough something up. The exoskeletons, for me, look different. My first egg, it's one strand going up. That's the earth egg. The second egg, the water egg, is a strand going up and a strand going down. My water egg, 2 strands going up, 1 strand going down. Or that's the air egg, excuse me. My fire egg, 2 up, 2 down. The spirit egg, 3 up, 2 down. You do not have to do this. This is mine. It helps for me to remember exactly which egg and exoskeleton I am currently on. You should do this, but you don't have to at first. Next, make sure that exoskeleton is drawn out. Now, imagine your spirit lotus. I like to imagine this in hidden assets color in light language. So it's like the Kali pink lotus. It's Kali pink. It's like a pink with a hint of purple to it. It's not your normal pink. It's like rosy lilac. And then you take that and you drop it to the bottom. And you let it begin to build the scales going clockwise. I still imagine each scale being drawn in. It doesn't go on autopilot. I do not see the scales being that color. They sometimes have a shimmer of that color. Everybody's different. And when I feel my scales in, there's always this brown that comes with it. Purpley pink and brown. And then it's good. All the way up to the top of the egg. And then exhale. You're almost there. From the internal DNA strand, your 5th one. Porcupine it into every scale and needle it through. Again, this should be like a needle poking through paper. It goes pop. And the needle goes on the outside of the egg. and then begins to create this weave that reinforces everything. It makes the egg stronger. And just like a needle can poke through every layer of clothing I have on, it can poke through every layer of the egg. From the inside. Because the outside is dragon skin. All right, next. It jellyfishes with tentacles plugging into the spine, going all the way up to the top of the egg and all the way down. And we're almost done. We're never almost done. We're going to do this for infinity, so chill out. This is 90% of learning how to master your own energy. So dip your mithril metal weave into the goo. But this goo, I definitely like it to be black tar goo with some amethysty purple inside of it. Like black amethyst. If any of you guys have been getting the black amethyst download, it's rad. And then mix some brown in there. All right. Ask your dragon to light it up. My dragon wants me to put blood vessels in it. So before he lights it up. So that's what we do. All right, light it up. Never forget there's blood vessels inside of dragon skin. And feel it and breathe. And you sit there and you think, I have done my best. I've built my Malkuth dragon egg. It's being lit up. Maybe you ask Brown Dragon to do it. Feels good. Your next assignment after this is to fill it with the crystal yolk. And then you can do the Malkuth initiation. Breathe in. Exhale. Breathe in. Exhale. One more time. Breathe in. Exhale. That wasn't so bad. You've now built your dragon egg, the basic one for Malkuth. Congrats.